Chair, we've got further questions. But
Sure. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for being here tonight. Can you please report on progress in relation to the preparation, distribution and stakeholder engagement in regard to casual employment information, including employment conditions, and on education for both business and employees on their rights and obligations, please?
Yes, Senator. Kristen Hanna, Deputy Fair Work Ombudsman Policy and Strategy. We've published extensive information, tools and resources on our website to help employees and employers to understand the changes. And this includes a new definition of casuals, some information on pathways from casual to full-time and part-time employment, and we've published the new Casual Employment Information Statement. Between March the 29th and the 1st of April, we published a new landing page. We published a new page on the definition of casual employment, and we published a new page on becoming a permanent employee, and as I said, the CEIS. We've also extensively promoted this content. We wrote a letter to stakeholders on the 1st of April seeking their feedback on the content and asking them to promote it through their channels.
Excuse me, who do you call stakeholders? Who would be examples?
It went to a very big list of people, so peak industry groups, unions, it went to community legal centres and other community partners, so quite an extensive list. We did a range of social media posts in April and May. We sent a subscription email on the 20th of April to 650,000 subscribers, and they are both employees and employers. And we've just commenced a digital advertising campaign which is in market at the moment, running for 2 weeks. I've got some statistics about how effective that campaign's been, if you'd be interested.
Yes, please,
to hear
I would.
those. Yep.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay. In the first week, we had 170,000 views of the Casuals landing page.
How many?
So 170,000. So that's the first week of the campaign compared to the week before. We had a 120% increase in traffic to the landing page for the Casual Employment Information Statement. We had a 104% increase in traffic to the new page about becoming a permanent employee, and we had a 68% increase in downloads of the CEIS as well. So that campaign's in market until Friday of this week. We'll then get some analysis in terms of overall numbers of people that it reached, but just based on those first stats, it's been a really encouraging response.
Okay, sounds like it. Thank you. Please detail what you will be doing to ensure the integrity of casual employment information sheets and the coaching and awareness in regard to the casual employment information sheet.
So we will. One thing that we did do is like I said, we wrote to stakeholders and asked for feedback, and we did receive some feedback on that document, and we were able to update it and change it to make sure that it was fit for purpose.
Is it one document, excuse me, or different documents for different sectors?
No, it's just one document. So in the same way that the FWIS is just one document, it's a very similar document to that. So it's just one document. So we've consulted on that. We've listened to feedback and incorporated that feedback into the document. So we published a new version of the document, an updated version, on the 20th of May. So we'll continue to seek feedback and listen to feedback and update the document as necessary. So we're very open to hearing feedback and making sure that it remains fit for purpose.
Okay, thank you. Please report on the performance of
thank you, Mr. Sullivan's just reminded me that we've got supporting guidance on our website to help people interpret that document too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please report on the performance of the systems and supports which were put in place to ensure prompt, clear and informative support for both business and employees in regard to casuals and casual conversion. Because I understand there's only, according to the Fair Work Commission, there's only been one complaint lodged with them about the casual conversion so far.
Senator, that would not surprise me because many of the obligations haven't started yet, and they don't. Most of them don't arise until 27 September. So there's what are we, 9 weeks into it, so we've got a bit of time to go yet.
I could possibly add from a compliance and enforcement perspective, I'm not aware of any complaints or requests for assistance we've received in this regard.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Sorry, Senator, I said from a compliance and enforcement perspective, I'm not aware of any complaints or requests for assistance we've received so far in regards to this issue.
And I can add to that,
What
Senator.
was the term he used?
Request for assistance.
Yeah, was it large, small? I missed.
Mr Scully's evidence was that we have not received any formal request for assistance.
Thank you. Not a criticism of you, but the technology is just garbling your voice.
Thank you.
He actually always talks like that.
He's got a sense of humour.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay. What more can the Fair Work Ombudsman do to support casual employees, especially in regard to both understanding the impact of the recent change and with regard to casual conversion?
Some work that we are doing, Senator, that you might find interesting is we're translating the CEIS into 38 different languages. That's work that we've just started doing, so that will be in market in a couple of months' time. So that'll now allow us to reach a much broader audience with that tool. Generally, when we release in-language communications and new tools, we also promote them through our social media channels in language as well. So there's quite a bit more work to happen in terms of translations.
I must admit we have not heard anything of complaints, so that's probably a pretty good indication that things are going reasonably well. How much has been invested in this program in terms of cost and additional resources?
Senator, I'll take that on notice. Senator, what I'll say is the work that's been done to date has been done within existing resources, but I'll just take it on notice to double check that.
Thank you. Small business owners have frequently found that the cost of being away from work to defend a spurious, unfair dismissal case is too much, and they end up paying what is called go-away money to the employee. And employees sometimes forego complaints because it's just too much damn hassle. So we get both parties not taking advantage of the system. So what are you doing, or what can you do to help small businesses and small business employees, especially given that they have done the heavy lifting during the COVID restrictions and many are still doing it tough? What can you do to help both small business employers and small business employees better understand? And I do acknowledge that if we printed the Fair Work Act, it would be about this high stacked. It's ridiculously complex and a minefield, and people just tend to get confused and just walk away from it and just say to hell with it. And that doesn't do much for the primary business relationship, which is between employer and employee.
Senator, we have a small business strategy designed to support small business especially through challenging times like COVID. The strategy recognises that small business are time poor and often don't have in-house resources to deal with workplace relations issues. It's very much focused on providing small business with the tools, resources and information that they need to comply. It also has a focus on small business employees as well, and making sure that they're aware of their rights and obligations. What I can tell you is the sorts of information that we provide to small business under that strategy. The heart of our education offering for small business is our Small Business Showcase. So this is a one-stop shop where small business can go and find all the tools and resources that they need. One thing that we've done this year is that we've introduced a refreshed range of best practice guides. The best practice guides are simple. The best way to describe them is simple English, practical advice in terms of how to best meet obligations. We've provided those materials very extensively through our social media channels as well. We're continually refreshing our small business offer If you look at the entirety of the information on our website, Senator, it's actually directed towards small business employers and employees. Overall, that's 350 resources and many thousands of pages of static content. We're continually doing market research to ensure that those products are fit for purpose. We talk to small business all the time, and we engage with small business representatives to listen to feedback about what they're hearing from their members and from members of the small business community, and we update our materials on our website based on those inquiries. So when we hear that something's missing or there's a gap in our information, we design information to fill that. So that's an ongoing business as usual process.
Do you work with a small business ombudsman in
Yes,
any
we
way?
do. Yeah, so a range of stakeholders, the Small Business Ombudsman, and we met quite recently with Bruce Wilson, Mr Sullivan and the Ombudsman and myself. We work with COSBOA, we work with a range of small business stakeholders. In fact, we would hear from COSBOA many times a week.
Okay. You have, what we saw was a difficult role because you have to be a coach, but you also have to be a cop.
Indeed.
So that probably hasn't, especially on this issue, you have to be both. That probably has an impact given the number of complaints haven't opened up yet, but are you expecting any issues? Have you seen any issues that put you in conflict there? Internal conflict?
I don't think there is. I don't think that we would see it as an internal conflict. So we do play a dual role. Our education role is helping people who initially want to help themselves and want to engage with our content. When we see rogue operators and businesses whose integrity in this area might be lacking, then we do take a very different approach. But our initial contact with small business is very much to support and to provide information to help them comply. Where they're not doing that, then we definitely do take a different approach. So we're able to adjust our posture depending on the performance and the behaviour of the small business.
Okay. And I've just talked about the complexity of the Fair Work Act, which is horrendous, and that seems to be driving a lot of the core issues in industrial relations problems and conflict. Can you demonstrate that Fair Work Ombudsman inspectors have been positively supporting small businesses to ensure they are not burdened with yet more red tape and unnecessary administrative costs? And specifically, what red tape has been reduced in the past 12 months?
Oh, sorry, go on.
That's fine. Senator, Mr Scully might want to take us through some of this, but we have talked about our small business strategy, and we certainly have worked closely with small business during the COVID pandemic period. We have a small business helpline, and we've answered 52,000 calls in the last financial year, and we've had 77,000 visits to our web page. The strategy, really did aim to help business, particularly through the pandemic and into recovery. I mean, we've talked about the fact that they are time limited, and as you've said, it's difficult to navigate the system. So what we try to do is provide tools, support and assistance and a fast-track helpline where they can ring and get simple information from us. From 1 July this year, we'll be introducing what's called an employer advisory service, and that is going to provide small business with tailored written industrial relations advice on the National Employment Standards and Awards provisions. What that will do is we'll give business some certainty. So they'll be able to ask us to give them some confidence that what they're paying is correct, and then they'll have our assurance of that. So we will continue to work with the small business sector when we're setting that up and getting those advices happening. And then as people come in and ask for our help, and we get general information coming out of that, we'll put that on websites and we'll publish it so small business can look it up and get access to it. I mean, we regularly attend, COSBOA has a regular meeting of all its members online, on video, and we regularly attend that to talk through with them what we're doing, how we can help them, what we're aiming to achieve. So I think we can always do better. We know that it's difficult, but what we're trying to do is, get feedback, listen, and we'll be continuing that this year. We're looking at ways we can engage more easily with small business. But as you know, it's difficult for them to put time into that, given how busy they are.
Thank you. Can we come back to the potential inherent conflict between being a cop and a coach?
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
If as part of your employer advisory service, you provide free, tailored written advice to small business employers about their obligations in the workplace, if an underpayment occurs because the Fair Work Ombudsman's advice was wrong, the Fair Work Ombudsman will not seek civil penalties if the employer has acted honestly and followed the Fair Work Ombudsman's advice. Does that create any problems for you?
No, I think that's what we would think is fair and reasonable if they've, in good faith, followed advice. I mean, it doesn't mean that they don't necessarily owe money to their employees. It's not a reason that they don't have to pay money to their employees. That's correct. But what it says is we won't take them to court. And in response to your
So they still have to pay.
Also,
they still have to pay.
They will still need to pay the correct entitlements, Senator. That doesn't actually change. And others can take them to court, of course, which is always going to be a challenge for them. So there's nothing to stop a union taking them to court, or we're not the only ones that can take them out to court.
Thank you. Are casual employees across all business sectors being provided with sufficient information and support to understand that they have a right to apply for conversion from casual to permanent? And how often have casual employees contacted the Fair Work Ombudsman about conversion since March 2021?
It's pretty early days yet, Senator. I don't think we've had many requests. And in answer to your question of how do we get the information to them, we just need to keep telling them. So through every mechanism that we have available so that they learn and understand. So through, hopefully, many of them join associations. What we find is that those that do are far better off. They understand, they get help much more easily than others, and we just have to keep promoting it through our own resources and networks.
So I acknowledge that one of the things we realised in the past 6-8 months is that there are so many casual workers in the country, and a huge proportion of them who want to be casual and stay casual. So they're not going to seek conversion anyway. But you've got no sense that there are barbarians at the gate ready to knock down the gate and demand conversion pretty soon.
No, that remains to be seen, Senator. It's too early to say, really.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll certainly monitor it, and if you ask us at future estimates, we'll be able to answer it more fulsomely.
Thank you. Moving to wage theft, have wage theft cases increased or decreased, and what can you interpret from your research in regard to current wage theft cases?
Senator Roberts, just how much longer do you think you have?
I can leave it there if you're pushing for time, or I can ask one more question.
One more question, of course.
Okay.
I'll just answer generally, if that's okay, Senator. I mean, obviously underpayment of wages is a significant issue for the Fair Work Ombudsman and the community, which is why we put a lot of our resources into ensuring that people understand their rights and entitlements, that they know where to go to get some help, and that we provide that assistance to them. In terms of, I guess that's what I'd say, we prioritise, that's our job, to help people to get their correct entitlements.
So there's no increase or decrease you've noticed?
I mean, what I would say, Senator, is we've had significant recoveries. We've been getting back record amounts of underpayments into the hands of workers in the last couple of years, And that's because we have shifted our approach to from more of a dispute resolution approach more to compliance and enforcement. We're issuing a lot more statutory tools, and they guarantee that money goes back to workers quite quickly. So I would say that we're being far more effective. The data speaks for itself, and that's a good news story. So I think people can be assured that we're working very hard to address the issues.
Okay, thank you.
Ms.
Last
Parker,
question.
If I could just,
Yeah,
Ms.
sorry.
Parker, if I could just add, sorry, Senator, if I could just add, in terms of the request for assistance, which is basically people asking us to assist them to resolve a workplace dispute, for the first 9 months of this financial year, 2020-21, we received just over 14,000, compared to just over 20,000 for the full year last year. So there's been no significant increase or decrease in terms of the volume of complaints that we are receiving.
Okay, thank you. Your sound is much clearer now. So,
Thank you.
at the last round of Senate estimates at question EEC AE 2150, it was noted that there was, quote, progressive development of what were called RegTech solutions to make it simpler for employers to apply modern awards and pay their staff correctly. What is RegTech in industrial relations, and is it an award interpreter that is likely to go the same way as Queensland Health's old dodgy payroll system, leaving employers and employees in the lurch?
Senator, Ms Hannah's there, I believe, and can answer this one.
Senator, RegTech is, I mean, it's...
Oh, it's RegTech.
RegTech. I think you're referring to RegTech.
Yep, yep, I am.
All right. RegTech is, in its simplest terms, the application of technology to simplify regulatory solutions. For instance, we have a complicated calendar calculator on our website called the Pay and Conditions tool. That could be defined as a RegTech solution, so it's using technology to help people to understand pay rates. There's a project at the moment, a cross-agency project that the department are involved in, which is looking at how we can apply more technology to simplify workplace relations even further.
I might just add to that.
Much better.
Senator, so the department is leading a process there in terms of investigating it. The first stage is looking at the Fair Work Commission's pay data and building an interface which will allow platforms to access that data directly. So rather than having to search through paper or search through different rates, they'll be able to access that. That's one component of the RegTech. A longer process is to actually, if you like, expand or further develop the technology or tools behind the Pay and Conditions tool, or indeed the awards themselves, and see whether a similar interface can be provided for a more sophisticated set of IT products sitting underneath it. What that means is that payroll developers would be able to interface directly with both the wages and the Pay and Conditions tool, with a view to actually then being able to import that data directly into the payroll systems. It won't be a short process. It's certainly not going to be rushed. I think the roadmap identifies quite a number of years to get towards the end of this process, but certainly giving the payroll developers access to the pay data is seen as the first step in this process, and then looking at tools such as PACT and a modernised PACT with a modern interface sitting over the top of it. To do that, there's money in the budget for design or grants to technology groups to have a look and see whether they can come up with products using this technology. So it's not a short process. It's going to be carefully worked through, but the intent is to make it simpler for business and for the companies that support businesses to actually be able to access the data and make sure that pay's being done correctly.
And just on that,
This will be your last question. Sorry, Senator Roberts. I need to...
just following up on that. Thank you, Chair. The small business are not covered by one award. So if a small business involves 2 or 3 awards, then they've got 2 or 3 different pay rates to sort out, and they might hire 2 people on the same day in different areas, in different awards. It's a nightmare.
So, Senator, that's the challenge, I suppose, for the developers of the payroll systems to see whether they can actually design the technology to be able to interface with the correct parts of the award system as well as the correct pay rates. So it's certainly a challenge, and that's why it won't be being rushed. But certainly the view is if we can make it simpler for businesses and make it more accurate, that's good for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator O'Neill.
I'll hand back